Okay, everybody, here we are together again at last. Bring it in. Come on. Hug. Group hug. Yeah, exactly. Look, it is still Friday the 13th. Wasn't so scary for this market today, but we do have a lot to talk about. Yeah, so it's Friday, March 13th, 2020. If that was not a literal rip your face off rally, the moment the president started speaking about his emergency measures to handle the coronavirus, I don't know what is. An absolutely freaking rip your face off rally. The Dow Jones Industrial Average put on nearly 2,000 points. It's incredible. Wow. Okay. All well and good. The market likes what the president said. We have central banks around the world. We're hearing from more and more of them who are stepping up to the plate here, talking about printing, talking about stimulus, talking about quantitative easing, talking about flooding the world with more debt than they can possibly imagine. The Federal Reserve doing the same thing. All well, and if I didn't say it, all well and freaking good. All right. Now, what I want to talk about here is this. What is honestly going on here? Well, let's talk about the Federal Reserve and their repo scam. In case you don't know, the Federal Reserve has now increased their repo operations to at least 500 billion per day. Now, when this all started, many months ago, it was 50 billion per day. Now we have increased that tenfold. Now I understand that what they're doing, they're passing cash from one institution to another. They're passing cash around. And this is being done for two reasons. You know what they are. If you've been following my blog, you clearly understand it. But if not, let's just cover it. The Federal Reserve is involved in this repo scam. It's a scam. I'll cover that again real quick. Assisting the Wall Street banks in passing what is now vast amounts of cash back and forth to each other. Passing it to this institution now. This has been going on. It started at 50 billion at least per day. Now it's 500 billion at least per day. What's really behind it all? You know what it is. I mean, if you've been following this blog, it's to give the illusion of liquidity. The illusion that the system has enough capital or cash floating around to prevent a lockup of the system, a credit freeze. Think of how dramatically this has increased. Tenfold since it started. Now, this guy told all of you this is exactly what would happen. They would not stop. They would vastly increase it. It would become perpetual. Actually, speaking about perpetual, Steve Mnuchin today, live, said he, obviously, with the Federal Reserve, is prepared to issue unlimited capital to this market. Unlimited capital to the market. Now, why would he say that? Again, people, look, it all comes down to one thing. They are desperate to prevent a lockup of the entire system, a liquidity crisis. Now, they really can't allow this to happen. So what they're doing now is desperate, but it has to happen. I mean, if we were to have a liquidity crisis, a full-on liquidity crisis in the system locked, what would that mean for you? Okay, because it's about you, right? It's about us collectively. Let's talk about you. You try to use your debit card, it don't work. You try to use your credit card, it don't work. You go to your bank and say, give me $5 from my account that has XXXXX zeros. you don't even get your $5. The banks stop loaning money to each other. Businesses can't get capital to function. We go to Mad Max the moment we freeze. Now, the last time this occurred, the Fed stepped in 2008. Right at that moment, they started injecting massive amounts of capital into the system. Nothing like now. We have surpassed that by exponents. Exponents. The TARP program, $750 billion. We're about that every day. If you want to talk about the Federal Reserve repo, I understand. It's cash passed back and forth. It's paid back plus a premium. But the real reason is, again, just to give the illusion that there's enough cash. The fact of the matter is, there exists 1.7 trillion actual printed dollars on the planet. The rest of it does not exist. It's not on the elemental chart, and it's in fantasy land, and there's not enough of it. As crazy as that sounds, there's not enough of it. Well, this is why the Fed yesterday said, we're going to take 1.5 trillion and stop buying all the debt with it, assets across the board. We're hearing this from other central banks as well that are all doing the same thing. They're all in the same boat. There's not enough capital to go around. This is why I told you just the other day, go to your bank, take out some capital, leave it in your house, hide it under your mattress or so, because they are so desperate right now to prevent a credit freeze or a complete lockup of the system, which already happened. And the fact that they have gotten so desperate now, again, the Fed has increased, their whole repo thing is about the illusion of liquidity, the illusion of it. And central banks around the world have gone beyond hypernuclear, which I told all of you would happen months ago. But I'm going to tell you something else. Big secret between you and me. You remember in the beginning of this video, we brought it in a little close? Come closer. Here's the big secret. The big secret that you're not supposed to know about is you haven't seen anything yet. No. Shh. Between you and me. This is just the beginning. The 500 billion is going to become 1 trillion at one particular time per day. The asset purchases, don't call it QE, from the Federal Reserve is going to be vastly expanded on to the point where your eyeballs and ears are just going to explode. You understand? That's where we're going. But again, this is a multi-decade plan collectively by all of the world's central banks that have the world in a hideous grip, just like this, you understand? They have us all here. They have nation slaves. They have individual debt slaves to issue in their final solution, to be the lender and buyer of last resort. But you become the borrower as the citizen of wherever you may live on this earth. And I know my blog gets followed everywhere. Wherever you are, you owe it. It's on your back. So I do not want any of you to not understand what's really going on, what this repo is all about. And I've covered it over and over again. But people continue to ask me, Greg, what's it all about? It's about the illusion of liquidity. We're drying up. We're in a liquidity crisis right now. If we were not in a liquidity crisis right now, do you believe the Fed would not have gone from 50 billion to 500 billion at least per day with regard to their repo scam? It's a scam because it's giving the illusion, it's fake, it's smoke and mirrors, that there's more capital than there actually is. That it's all debt. You understand that? And again, you're going to get calls from world leaders for more debt. More. It cannot stop. It's the nature of the beast. The nature of the debt-based economic model is it must have more debt in greater and greater amounts every single day just to function. If it doesn't, what happens? Lock up. Liquidity crisis. Mad Max. That's what's going on here. And the asset purchases by the world central banks, not just the Fed, don't call it QE, is so they can own everything. Now, this came out today as well. There is a lot of talk here. And this is going on in other parts of the world. It's going to happen here in America, and I'm going to give you a heads up now. Hasn't happened yet, but there's talk. You probably heard this yourself. We already know this is going on, but now they're going to do it in your face. The Federal Reserve is going to get the green light to start buying equities. What does that mean? To start buying stocks, companies. They want to own the world. That's the bottom line. The central banks want to own everything and have their nations and their citizens be slaves to them. That's where we are. Now, what I expect is going to happen here. Again, we're in a liquidity crisis. The proof is in your face. This is why they keep increasing their repo scam. It's going to be increased from here. At least 500 billion will become at least 750 billion, or at least whatever it's going to be. It'll just keep going and going. And this is what we're allowed to know about. You understand that? This is what you can see for yourself on the Federal Reserve page. But I already explained to you that there's a lot of stuff these central banks are doing under the table that we don't see, we're not supposed to know about. Okay, let's just keep that out of the equation. Let's talk about what we actually can prove because it's in our face and they let us see. It's going to be vastly increased. The illusion of liquidity will go on until when? Until it doesn't. Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah. Just like I said, the stock market would go higher until it doesn't. The liquidity issue is not going away. It's humongous. It's a monster. It's part of the debt bubble. You understand? This is the reason why they have hyperinflated this debt bubble and why it's about to get much worse too. The Fed is involved with other world central banks in the biggest scam. Now, and I'm not referring to the repo scam. The other biggest scam that people don't see and is going on right before their eyes is they're buying everything. They're buying everything. Now, before I let you go, I want to tell you something else that we found out today. And please research everything I'm telling you. During the last financial crisis, we're in a financial crisis now despite the 2,000 points the Dow just put on. Today, we're in a liquidity crisis. Okay, clear. The Federal Reserve at that time made sure the banks held enough capital in reserves just in case there was another crisis like now. The Federal Reserve is now explaining to these same banks, you know what? It looks like you guys are running out of capital, and they are. So the Fed is going to loosen up those rules and is going to recapitalize the banks yet again. What is this? This is another public bailout, but you're not supposed to know that either. It's all, quiet. It's all done under the table. You can't know these things. And why? Why would the banks need more capital? Why are the banks drying up here? It's very simple. What does it do? It goes right back to how I started off this video. Liquidity crisis. Capital is drying up. There's not enough of it, despite the fact that there are trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon quadrillions, if you add in dollar derivatives of fiat dollars around the world. In other words, central banks are involved in the same scam, okay, with their own currencies. You understand? This is so easy. It is so simple. If you could add 2 plus 2, you understand exactly what I'm saying. Because if this doesn't make sense to you, I can't imagine another person could have explained this more clearly. But you need to know, if you take one thing away from this video, we are in a full-blown liquidity crisis, and they are trying desperately to prevent a credit freeze, a complete and total lockup of the system. They are going to go through very desperate measures to keep this going until when? Until it doesn't. And when this locks up, they're going to have people running around the streets of the world in panic mode, begging for a solution. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is the same setup that we have seen over and over and over again. And you live in it. You live in it. It's like a nightmare, isn't it? But that's where we're going. Once this system locks, what are they going to do? The problem is debt. The problem is debt, and we're maxing out. We are completely saturated, but what are they doing? They're pumping it more. To do what? Prevent a liquidity crisis or a complete lockup. When the lockup occurs, notice my terminology, when it occurs, they're going to issue in a new system. And I've told you about this for years, that a new system is coming. This new system will not be gold backed. It will not be commodity backed. This is how central banks keep their power. Their power exists in one thing, their ability to issue debt backed by nothing. We have killed millions to make sure we have a fiat monetary system and the petrodollar. We will continue to kill millions more to make sure this happens. This coronavirus right now is very suspicious, okay? It comes at a time where the market is at a maximum bubble, okay? They're blaming everything on the coronavirus, and leaders around the world, all of them, including the President of the United States, are calling on more debt, more liquidity. We need more of it. We got to go negative with regard to rates. Do you understand? This coronavirus is giving the central banks exactly what they need to issue in the final solution to become the lenders and buyers of last resort. You're the borrower, you are the slave. Personally, I believe this was dispersed purposely to issue in the final solution. We're nothing. We're nothing. They will slaughter us, kill us, make us sick through anything they have to do, poison us with food that's processed to the nth degree. Whatever it is, that's what they will do. You and me are nothing more than a means to an end. A means to an end. You understand? Welcome to the new world order, because you're in it. People, it happens to be Friday. I want you to think about everything I just covered here. What the real reasons are. Why the Fed is vastly increasing their repo operation. It's a scam. I'm going to call it a scam until it blows up, because every scam blows up at one point. It's like a Ponzi. But much, much worse, because the ramifications of this, when this Ponzi ends, means lockup. Done. System dies. It's on life support right now. It's been on life support since 2008. Okay? And the solution is, well, the final solution, issue more debt. Flood the world with debt. The central banks around the world are doing the same things at the same time with their respective leaders. Do you believe this is coincidence, or do you believe there is a much bigger plan going on here? A multi-decade plan that is right now being realized. Again, new world order. And you can't stop it. You can't change it. You literally have to figure out how you're going to survive in it. That is, again, I guess the other takeaway from this video blog I'm doing here. All right, people. I usually tell you to put the week behind you, and we'll move forward here. But I want you to ponder everything I've said in this video multiple times. I want you to think about the concepts I've covered here. Okay, I want you to discuss these with other people. I want you to share this video and get it out there. Let people understand what's really going on here, what they're trying to prevent for now. And again, it's going to go on until it doesn't, and then we get a new system. The new system is not going to be or benefit you, me, or anyone you know. That is the truth. This guy loves you. It's Friday. People, let's do this together, okay? Love each other. Care about each other and be charitable, because we, in this new world order, which is right here upon us now, are going to need each other. Okay? Love you. See you over the weekend, Sunday, when I do my markets a look ahead. Over and out.